Real quick, y'all, I'm coming out with the aggressive E4 repertoire course coming out soon. This is for those of you that play the move of E4 and you want to have a fun response against the French, against the CARO-KANN, Sicilian, Nimzowitsch, Alekhines, you name it. The list goes on and on. If you're interested in that, the course isn't out yet, but right now we're doing pre-orders. If you pre-order it, you're going to get a very nice discount. That discount code is early bird. So go down to the description below, go down to the pinned comment, and plug in the discount code early bird by February 10th to get that discount. Guys, as y'all know, I'm coming out with an E4 course. Okay, y'all know that. But I got to make a confession. Okay, we just got to get this out there. Okay, sometimes you gotta let the people know, right? I played a game recently, as you can see here. My opponent was, pretty high rated, 2340. He plays the move e5. I play knight f3. Now at this point, I'm used to seeing the move of knight c6. This is, at my level, this is what I see almost every time. Okay, knight c6. Maybe you see knight f6. That's also common. Maybe d6. The move you don't see, at my level at least hardly ever, is the move of f6 with the Damiano defense. And I have to make a confession, guys. I didn't win. I didn't win this game. I didn't lose either, but I didn't win. Okay? And I actually learned some theory because of this game that I played online, this little 5-minute blitz game. And I'm going to be sharing it here. Okay? In my E4 course, look, I'm looking at, as that releases by March 1st, we're looking at knight c6, going to the Scotch Gambit. We're looking at d6. We're looking at knight f6. One move in the course we don't cover is f6 because it is so terrible for black. But in order for it to actually be terrible practically, we need to know what the heck we're doing. Okay, I knew the first move here. I knew quite a few moves. Just you'll see. You'll see where I mess things up. But the best thing we have here is knight takes e5, guys. That is a beautiful move, one to memorize. I don't care if you're 200 rated, if you're 2500 rated. If you're 2500, you already have that memorized, but you get the point. Memorize this move, okay? Any of you guys playing e4 and knight f3, if you see f6, which you will see it from time to time, you will, I promise, take on e5 with the knight. Not if you see d6, but if you see f6. The reason for this is because if/when the pawn captures back, we have queen h5 check available. And on the short side diagonal, black only has one blocker, which is the g7 pawn going to g6. That's it. None of these pieces can block. All right? That's why the short side diagonal is so dangerous in the game of chess. More dangerous than the long side because you do have back rank pieces that can do something. On this side of the board, no. The bishop and the knight are useless right now. All right, real quickly, though, I do want to say if queen e7, don't fall into the trap of playing queen h5. The moment you do this, you're dead losing because of g6. And, okay, you could run with the queen, but then e5 falls. You could take on g6, but then black has queen takes e4 with check. If you run with the king, the queen takes. If you, block with the queen right here. Okay, they trade and take the knight. If bishop e2, okay, they take the knight with the queen. And you can try to, pull some cheese here, maybe go for bishop h5, but black's just winning. Black's winning no matter what you do there. So with queen e7, take the pawn. If you see that, just run back. Black can either not take the pawn. Great, we're up a pawn. Not to mention you have a pawn on f6. Or if black does take it, bishop to e2, just develop. Castle kingside, rook e1. Getting that rook to e1 fast is a great idea. Knight c3, d4, you name it. You're up development. You're about to castle right now. Black's not even close. You're in a great spot. But what if black does take, right? What if black does take? Again, if they don't take, if they go queen e7, just run right back home. And you are better there. You are winning. Or on the brink of winning at least. Now you can check. Checking is fine now. And if g6, that's just bad for black. You're just going to start slicing and dicing, take the rook. You're crushing that. And if king e7, you can take on e5, play bishop to c4, check. This is what happened in my game. I knew all this theory. I knew I was completely winning here. But then my opponent played king g6, and, my opponent played the move of d5, which I haven't studied for a while now. I did know about king g6, and with king g6, what do? We throw in a check. All right, we throw in a check. Technically here, h4 is a mate in 10. d3 or d4 with check is a mate in 11. You can go h4 and then go for the check, or you could just check first. That's what I've always done. Okay, black only has 2 moves. If you block with the queen, the game's over. If you block with the pawn, we can now play h4, and we're getting our rook involved. The pawn is pinned, guys. I mean, look, if something like d6, we have a mate in 2. We could take with the bishop. That's going to lead to a very fast mate, or take with the pawn. We have a double check. Notice our rook is also checking the king. Drop the queen on f7 because our bishop can actually see that square. This game is over. What about d5? Now, in this case, look, if you take on g5, not a mistake, okay? It's not a mistake in the sense that you're losing or anything. You're still over +6. I mean, look at the eval bar here, guys, okay? I mean, that's not a lot of room there for black, but okay. King g7, you throw in a check. I mean, why hasn't black resigned, right? Why haven't they resigned? However, I do want to say with d5, the bishop can't see f7. It can't see it, right? And because of that, we know that when we take on g5, we're not just going to finish the game off. So instead of chasing the king, we should make it so that this king just can't run at all. The king can't move, right? In the other line with the move of d6, yeah, let the king run. We have mate. In this case, yeah, let's keep the king on h6. Now we are threatening a mate in 1. If black plays a check and then takes on c3 to avoid the inevitable, fine. We capture back. We're still threatening a mate in 1 there. I mean, what's black do? I mean, they can't even move their king, right? But my opponent in the game played the move of d5. I took with the bishop. I knew to do that. And then here, I thought about it, and I ended up playing h4. And that was a good move, right? That's a good move. And that's honestly what I'd recommend. Okay, now queen g3 also works, throwing in a check, taking on c7. There's a lot of ways to play this position out, but those are by far the best options that we have. Okay, throwing in a check as well as h4. I personally like h4 because it follows our general principles. But here my opponent plays h5. And I took some time here. I thought about it. At least from my memory, I thought about it. What did I play? d4? Yeah, so I took a little time there. I mean, 20 seconds-ish. And I couldn't remember the engine move here. Okay, and again, this is really applicable if, or applicable? Y'all let me know. d5, if d5 is played. If d5 is not played, then, yeah, I mean, let's just go back real quick. So we take on e5. If king f7, we throw in a check. If king g6, oh, yeah, queen f5. Why not? Throw in a check, play h4. We're crushing this. But if you do see d5, yeah, take with check. Obviously, bishop e6 is not good for black. But now it's a little bit harder because it's like, okay, f5 is not available. So what do? Right? Well, we can still play h4. We're looking to lure that king into a spot where we can make that discovered check happen. But my opponent plays h5. What do we do here? Guys, there's only one winning move. That's what's crazy here. I didn't see it. I didn't find it. There's only one winning move. Okay, it's not throwing in a check. You're better there, but I mean, look at the eval. We're barely better. That's crazy, right? It's not d4 like I played in the game. That's a mistake. Is bishop takes b7. Isn't that crazy? Bishop takes b7. It makes sense when you really think about it. You're ultimately looking to distract that bishop from f5. Okay, you throw in the check. You throw in another one. And here again, look, I'm not going to fault you for taking on g5 with your bishop, okay? But you could play queen f7, making it so that the king can't run. This pawn is pinned. Let's say bishop e7, for example. We can fly our rook into the mix. That's a wrap. And, okay, if bishop d6, for example, kicking our queen, we don't want to run away somewhere with our queen, like, let's say c3, and just allow black to take. No. We want to make it so that if black does take on b7, we can then go to f5. How do we do that? Not by playing queen d5. Then we get kicked around again. And we can't keep keeping an eye on that. A5 is now covered. So instead of that, instead of queen d5, let's go to a5 right away. Right? You want to play knight? Okay, cool. We take. Right? You play c6, we take. You play bishop takes bishop, queen f5. That's how you win that. Okay, that's how you win that theory there. So again, going back to the start, for those of you that play the move e4, knight f3, take off that pawn, and okay, throw in the check against king to e7. You can throw in another check there on e5, bishop to c4. Again, king g6, queen f5, beautiful. If d5, take, as you can see, my opponent here, I mean, they know what they're doing. They must play this a lot. They must know not a lot of people know about the refutation, in which case we have the move of h4, and then here, bishop takes b7. That's the move right there, guys. That's the move. And if bishop d6, kicking our queen around, queen a5. We're looking at the rook. We're looking at the bishop. We're looking at f5. Black here. Well, on top of all that, they have a king on g6. I mean, they're just cooked. They're absolutely chefed here. But okay, in the game, just to show y'all what I did, okay, d4. Slightly better, but not winning at all. Bishop d6 was played in the game. Knight c6 was better. I threw in a check, and then here I took with the bishop. I should have took with the pawn. Okay, that's a very dangerous pawn there because it's really neutralizing that knight's development. And if white, or if black that is, tries to attack it, okay, let's defend it and keep on moving here. Keep it pushing. I mean, this is very dangerous. But okay, I took with the bishop, and I played knight c3, and all of a sudden, guys, I mean, we're just playing a regular game of chess. And as you can see here, black was better. I mean, they overtook here. I didn't play super accurately there. And I found myself in a spot where we were sitting at even material technically in terms of the fact that I had 3 pawns for the piece, but I would much rather have the piece than the 3 pawns at this point. My opponent offers me a draw, and I gladly accepted it. Okay. But anyways, wanted to share that, okay, for those of you that get the E4 course, okay. We've been doing bonus drops up until the release date, so there's already some content on there for y'all. But yeah, I mean, for those of you that get that, I wanted you guys to know the refutation against f6, and even for those of you that don't get the course, f6, right? This line here was really surprising to me, that we have to find the winning move there, guys. After all this, we played really well. We have to find this to be winning, guys. If we don't find that, we're not winning. We might be slightly better, but winning, not so much. I wanted to finish this video out by giving a special thanks to Walter, Rob, Roger, Ray, and Jerry, and the rest of my Patreon community. Thank you guys for making this video possible. If you're interested in joining the Patreon family, hey, I'd love to see you over there. There's some exclusive benefits that you gain by becoming a member. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you over there. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Peace.